Now, I've said this once before, and I'll say it again, but Deadpool and Wolverine is the one actual Marvel Studios movie that they are latching onto right now, that Disney is hoping that will actually make a box office record, so that in 2025, Bob Iger and the rest of the board of directors can point to 2024 and say, hey, we had a massive success that year, we broke the ongoing trend of box office failures of 2023, basically, which, by the way, so happened to land on their 100th year anniversary. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So, Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm sure that the majority of you out there have seen the final trailer that featured Wolverine, that featured Hugh Jackman's return as the character in the yellow suit, mind you, and there's been a lot of things going on with this movie, as we have talked about for numerous months now, a lot of behind-the-scenes drama between Reynolds, Shawn Levy, the writers of the film, going up against the Disney heads to make sure that DEI stays out of this movie at all costs, especially for the upcoming reshoots that are set to begin in just a couple of days. Now, what's interesting about all of this moving onwards has a lot to do with Ryan Reynolds going up against Disney yet again, and how it actually does concern the character of Wolverine in this movie and what's really going on with Bob Iger and Kevin Feige. Now, for those of you that do not know, there's been a lot of problems happening as well between Reynolds and Kevin Feige over the creative aspects of Deadpool and Wolverine and what's going on with this movie's marketing. So far, I think that the marketing has been very simple and solid, and we can all give a big thank you to Shawn Levy for that, for really standing up for the fans to keep the marketing very much simple. You know, all you need is a trailer here and there. You don't have to give too much away. However, on top of that, with Bob Iger and the board beginning to panic over the current direction of Marvel Studios, one major development now has much to do with actor Ryan Reynolds and his ongoing battle with the Disney heads, as reshoots are ready to begin reshooting, of course, or shooting, in just a number of days. A significant update to this situation now involves more to do with Ryan Reynolds battling the Disney heads with plans for the reshoots that are set to last until the end of May. Now, with Reynolds now already heading into heated arguments with the Disney heads and even Kevin Feige over Hugh Jackman's scenes that Bob Iger still refuses to reinstate, this is already creating an uproar from those like Ryan Reynolds and director Shawn Levy, along with writers, of course, Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick. What sparked the most recent drama between Reynolds and the Disney heads is that Bob Iger felt that some of Hugh Jackman's scenes were way too violent, even for a R-rated film. The scenes that were cut by Bob and Kevin involved Jackman going, of course, fighting throughout different wars, like Vietnam, World War II, and even the Civil War, that was planned to showcase the most violent sequences that fans have ever seen for Wolverine. Now, with the reshoots looming, Reynolds wanted to reshoot those sequences, not just to elongate them, but to also perfect them, that Jackman had trained for in order to perfect those scenes, and to also make them very much more lengthy than originally intended for the first act of the film. However, Disney's Bob Iger and Kevin Feige still refused to do those reshoots, not just for being way too violent in their minds, but also how they felt it would be way too expensive to redo the scenes. Their other arguments was that it was also, of course, something that would take up too much time for the first act of the film. This tug-of-war situation between Reynolds and the Disney heads already led to more ultimatums that Ryan Reynolds is already giving Disney the heads up that he will bail from Avengers Secret Wars unless they either reinstate the already existing scenes, reshoot them, or at the very bare minimum, provide them on an extended cut for Blu-ray and or streaming in the near future. Now, to this day, Bob Iger and Kevin still refuse to bring the war scenes into the final cut for the Deadpool and Wolverine film that was going to serve as a flashback for Wolverine's life, while Wolverine tells his life story at a bar to Wade Wilson. Now, Hugh Jackman even got very offended recently after Disney decided to completely move away from these scenes and showing no enthusiasm to reshoot them for the reshoots. Jackman also is now informing Disney that he will be unwilling to return in Avengers Secret Wars as Wolverine unless they provide the scenes to the fans at some point in time in one way, shape, or form. Both Reynolds and Jackman at this point want to fulfill the scenes, since they were considered as a love letter from Shawn Levy to the fans that went to a complete waste by Bob Iger at that. Now, Iger, who is already beginning to do massive cutbacks on the funds for the reshoots, are led, of course, many to believe and to worry that if the reshoots, whether or not, will become cheap-looking toward the end of the film. Something that Ryan and Sean are negotiating with Disney right now to up the amount for the budget involved in the new scenes to be filmed in just a couple of weeks' time. Now, Reynolds is also in a battle with Disney to prevent the running time for the film to be reduced, as Bob Iger believes a near 3-hour movie would cause many walkouts, and is now looking to slash at least 25 minutes worth of footage to be minimized / condensed and reshot and placed at different areas in the film to condense the story quite a bit more than originally intended. So guys, let me just stop here quick. Now, I think that this movie deserves to be 3 hours long on the button. You know, I think that it could very well have gone to that point if it has a very good story that flowed perfectly, where you're not really kind of losing your attention or anything like that. 3 hours can pass by quite fast if you make a very well-written story. And Sean, Ryan, Rhett, and Paul were very confident in that. But Bob Iger wanted to condense the overall story of Deadpool and Wolverine. So now what you're getting is a movie that's going to be a little bit over 2 hours. They wanted to make it more of an average, viewed film, or an average running time for a movie like that. But what's interesting about this is how Bob Iger and Kevin are very stubborn. They absolutely refuse to reinstate those scenes that they thought were way too violent. Let me just say one thing about that quick. There's nothing too violent for an R-rated Deadpool movie, alright? I don't care what anyone says, but when you look at a movie like Deadpool and Wolverine, you have to go all out. And for them to still stand their ground and to not give in to Ryan Reynolds, I think is just a disgrace to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's a disgrace to the Wolverine character, and they really should throw back in those scenes that feature his fight in World War II, Vietnam, the Civil War, etc., etc. Because let's face it, guys, that's what fans got a glimpse of in the past movie that we saw, alright? And basically Ryan Reynolds wanted to redo what was done in X-Men Origins Wolverine. Alright, you guys may very well remember that movie that featured the wars, and that's what they wanted to redo essentially, except making it way more violent and something that we have never seen for the character of Wolverine before. And it really would have actually worked as far as I'm concerned, because that's what Wolverine's all about. Now, Bob Iger and Kevin Feige so far, they've been losing every single battle that Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy have started against Disney, and we've talked about this for months, but they've actually gained more victories than losses. Alright, both Ryan and Sean, they are doing a fantastic job standing up to Disney, saying, do not do this, do not do that, or we're walking from this or other projects. And I think that was a very bold move of theirs. So I would love to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.